So to start off with, when our keeper has the ball, our centre-backs wouldn't really split, but they kind of form a diamond with the single pivot, so we could easily bypass their first line of the press, because they normally press with a 4-5-1 with the wingers deep on our fullbacks, so that means their striker would be alone up there. We could easily bypass it with a 4v1 in this area. So whenever the single pivot got it, he'd look to play it out wide to one of our fullbacks. This is because as these wide men come inside, especially Casey Palmer, it drags the winger inside and obviously allows space for Jada Silva to drive up the wing. And especially because Casey Palmer was playing on the left mid on paper, he'd usually come inside because he's usually a cam, and he'd kind of make that midfield balance, so it'd be 3v3 instead of 2v3. So towards the end of the match, when they did start pressing a bit higher with a 4-4-2 mostly, we changed to a back three to allow us to have a numerical advantage over their two strikers, obviously with 3 versus 2 in our favour. This would be our fullback, Danny Simpson, dropping back, or Zach Viner at this time, who would be dropping back into centre back to allow obviously Pasley out here, or it would be Bakinson dropping in, obviously Viner dropping out, and there being a single pivot with Masengo. But mostly, if we did use this back three for the build-up, we had a double pivot, so that we allowed from here, it makes 2 passing options out. So that if this striker covers this passing option, obviously it's that one, and if it covers that one, then obviously it's this one. So obviously when the fullback has the ball out wide, this would drag out the winger or the opposition fullback to come and press, which would allow the ball to be played inside to the winger, who moves into the half space, and then he could drive down there in between the fullback and the centre back to try and get a cross back. And this player here will be mostly Casey Palmer, because he's used to playing in his half spaces anyway when he's a cam, but instead of playing out here as a wide man, the fullback would push over and take that role so he can come inside and play like he normally does. So at times we look to go long from our keeper or our centre backs, and at this time, Martin would drop deep from obviously where he's meant to be up here. He would drop into this pocket just in front of these, or behind, these centre mids who are pressing our centre mids. This would take the centre back with him, which would allow space for Varman to run in behind. That's mostly how we went when we went long. Martin coming short, then flicking it onto Andy Varman. At the start of the game, in the first half, we wouldn't go out and rush and press them like that. We kind of, especially with our strikers, they'd sit back and block off the passing lanes. So instead of Celtic being able to just pass it through here, they'd have to kind of go out wide, where we obviously had a fullback and a winger defending out wide, instead of through the middle where it was a 3v2 in the midfield. And whenever they had the ball in this sort of area, our two midfielders wouldn't go and press as well. They just sit in a low sort of block, which would kind of force the ball out wide, instead of them getting dragged out and the ball being played straight through the middle from the centre mid. They kind of sit back and block off the passing lanes as well. And finally, in the rare occasion that we did actually press them, we've managed to box them in to quite a small area to which results in them just booting the ball up high, which is what we want, booting the ball up here, and then our tall centre backs regain the ball, and then we start playing again. So in the last 30 minutes, when obviously we had the whole different team, we'd mostly, when pressing or when defending, we'd mostly play with a 4-3-3, with Callum Hidalgo pushed up there with obviously the three midfield as the block, which matches up their three midfield, which obviously, because last time we were getting beaten with a 3v2, and now obviously we have 3 up front to press their 2 defenders and 3 midfield to match their 3 midfield.